Welcome to In Conversation with Hemali. Do you all like watching movies? I absolutely love to binge watch. And these days with COVID and work from home, I've become such a Netflix addict. I'm sure, like me, you too enjoy watching films. And why am I talking about all this? Well, that's because our guest today is Shilpa Shukla, an award-winning filmmaker from Singapore, who focuses on independent micro-budget films that she writes, directs, and produces while pursuing her full-time career as a marketing director with a global healthcare company. She recently produced Katha, which is 8 stories, which in the world's first anthology in 8 languages was produced. In 2019, she was honored with 4 awards, including a jury award at Singapore South Asian Film Festival and Best Film under the Female Filmmaker category at 18th Third Eye Asian Film Festival. She runs a production house under the name of TOTS. Welcome, Shilpa, to In Conversation with Hemali. It is an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you, Hemali, for having me on board here.
Thank you. Shilpa, could you tell us a little more about yourself? And was there any particular event or time that you kind of recognize that filmmaking is, would be a part of your life?
Sure. So I've been making films for almost 12 years now. So initially I started, through school, through college, I used to do a lot of theater, but never films, because films were not really very accessible either, right? Like, it's not like everyone had a camera and things like that. Then back in 2008, I used to follow this website called Passion for Cinema, which was like a blog for independent filmmakers, and a lot of, renowned filmmakers used to be like they used to encourage that platform, like Anurag Kashyap, for example. So that platform organized a 1-minute film festival, like an online film festival for 1-minute films, so that you just need to make like films that are 1 minute long and upload them, and they choose winners. So I thought that was a great start. I happened to have a small Sony Handycam during those days.
Really?
So I made a couple of 1-minute films, and both of them were selected as a top 25 films of that festival.
That was your first attempt?
That was my first attempt.
Wow.
So that was very, very encouraging. And so from there, I progressed to 3-minute films, 6-minute films, and then I got really confident, and I made my first feature film, which is called Mosums, which was 2 hours long. So that's how I really started. Yeah.
Wonderful. So was it anything particular that kind of made you turn towards filmmaking? What was it?
For me, filmmaking was just an extension of what I did with theater. So I used to write, direct, and produce, act even on stage, which I really used to enjoy. And filmmaking is, once you have access to the equipment, it's basically that, right? It's just a different medium, creative medium. But I love writing my stories. I love casting my actors. I usually work with, non-professionals, except for my latest film, Dots. I've really only worked with non-professionals and mostly debutantes and amateur actors, which I really like. So I like training them up for the screen. I love the entire post-production process. So yeah.
Okay. So how did you decide on the theme of your films, and how long does it take for you to write the script and direct the film? Overall.
It's quite quick, actually, because I write scripts only once I have a good idea of, the full story. So it's not like I write 1 page and then I think, okay, what happens after that? That doesn't happen. I only start writing when I know the film in full. So for me, a feature film script takes about 18 to 20 hours. Usually, before COVID, when we used to get to travel, when I travel on work, I write on my long flights to the US. That's what I used to do. But now Dots, because Dots, which was a film that I made during the circuit breaker, I basically wrote it, obviously at home, but I wrote it because dots have like 5 stories, and I wrote each story separately. So I wrote the first 4 stories in the first 4 days, and then another one the next weekend. So it's quite quick in that sense for me, the writing. The production can take longer.
Okay.
So when I did my first feature film, Awesomes, it took me 1.5 years from writing until the first screening.
Wow.
But these days, I think I made one feature film every year for the last 4 years. So that's been very fast, right? So I usually take about a year. But
Uh-huh.
Dots, which was completely remotely made, it took me 2.5 months, less than 2.5 months. So
Just
I
two and
wrote,
a half
started,
months.
yeah,
Wow.
because it's all remotely done, virtually done. I started writing second week of April, and the film was premiered on June 13th. So just
Wonderful.
2 months and a week. Yeah.
All right. So how do you choose the actors to play the characters that you have scripted? Meaning you must be having something set in your mind, for a character. How do you find these people?
So I find it easier to do the other way around. So I don't write a script and look for characters. I choose the people I want to work with, and then I write the scripts accordingly. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, so that's sort of my process, and
Hmm.
that's been the process for a while now. So Mosums, maybe not. Mosums, I wrote the script and I sort of did auditions and things like that. Usually I don't do it.
Okay.
But the next 3 films, I made a Malayalam film called Pularuminum Naligal, then another one called Tashi, and then Kathayate, the anthology you mentioned.
Okay.
Mostly I had the actors in mind already, and then I sort of fitted the scripts to the actors. Only when, like for Katha, because it's 8 languages, right? So it's very
Sure.
difficult if I write 8 scripts and say, okay, now I need an Assamese speaking one for this, I need a Gujarati. It's quite difficult.
Yeah.
So I basically, made a call out to people and asked, who would like to be part of this and what languages do you speak? And
All right.
depending on the profile of the people who came back, I sort of selected a couple and wrote the scripts accordingly.
All right.
I find that a lot easier, especially when you look at actors, because I like to go real and natural in my films. So it's just nicer if the characters sort of suit the actor than the actor, tries to be totally somebody else.
Yeah.
I find that quite unnatural.
So this also brings another question to my mind is when you say 8 languages, how do you manage writing in 8 languages? That means you know the 8 languages? Or do you know
No,
more than
no,
that?
I didn't know the 8 languages. I knew only 2 of them,
Okay.
Tamil and Malayalam. But the rest of them, I wrote it in English and I worked with my cast to translate. So we go through a pretty intensive process of translation and back translating. So I get them to translate, then I get them to back translate in English or Hindi so that I
Okay.
can pick the nuances. And again, we go through a couple of rounds and we would do readings. The way they say the lines, I know, if the tonality of it is correct, right? So,
Right.
uh, so yeah, so that's how it's quite an iterative process.
So I would
And then
say a
we got
lot of teamwork here, isn't it? Because
yes,
you write it in a certain language, and then you have others who speak other languages and bring everyone together.
correct,
Beautiful,
correct.
right? So what makes a film great for you? Are there certain qualities that make a film a memorable one?
So my personal preference is films that make me feel good, happy, hopeful. You know, um,
Right.
that's my personal preference. I think films that leave you with something, some sort of a feeling, makes it great.
Sure.
Now that could be sorrow, that could be frustration, wanting to do something about the system, whatever it is.
Sure.
Those are great. My personal preference, I feel like I already have so many problems in my life. I don't want to watch a film and feel even more frustrated or saddened. So I
Sure.
prefer positive, heartwarming films. Yeah.
Wonderful. So, like you said, there are some that touch, which are very, very emotional, which some that are very comical, some that are just happy films. And you decided on choosing those films which leave behind happiness, right?
Yes, correct,
Right.
correct. And that's my
Wonderful.
style of writing as well, because as you make a film, right, you have to
Hmm.
go through the script so many times. You have to rehearse so many times.
Yeah.
I'm a stickler for rehearsal. So you have to go through that so many times. And there's a whole process of editing it, the sound, the music. And if it is such a depressing film, to go through that like 500 times, you'll be like, oh my God, right? So I
Yes, I
prefer
can
things that are
imagine.
happy. Yeah.
True,
Yeah.
true. So, Shilpa, could you share with us about the films that you made before? Along with that, also, a funny or a heartwarming anecdote while filming.
Um, so I mean, there are lots of great experiences, right? What I love about making films is that you spend a lot of time with the team, and then we all become really like family.
True.
But I would say, as a complete project, which every single thing was quite anecdotal, that was probably my Malayalam film, Pularuminum Nalagal, because it was
Okay.
just 2 actors and 3 crew. So I had the cinematographer, the cameraman, myself, and 2 actors, and we shot the whole film in Abu Dhabi. So we just
Wow.
like drove around in a car, and we would just shoot in Abu Dhabi. And the best part of it was, uh, we had applied for permits to shoot in Abu Dhabi. The permits were
Okay.
approved, but it never reached us in time.
Okay.
So we didn't actually have the permit. We didn't have any documentation to say that we
Mm-hmm.
have gotten this approval. But we were there. We landed there. So the actors were from Singapore, and the actors and I landed in Abu Dhabi, and we are like, oh, okay, we have to shoot under the radar, and. Yeah,
Yeah.
so each shoot was like 2 hours. We were shooting in like random boats and in some restaurants or in the desert, away from public eye, that sort of thing. So it was like completely guerrilla filmmaking, and that was
Understood.
fascinating.
But tell me
Yeah,
something.
but
Why did you choose on Abu Dhabi? Why that
Abu Dhabi,
destination?
yeah. Because I had made quite a lot of short films, and Mosums was also made in Singapore. I just wanted a change in scenery, honestly. And
Okay.
I initially thought of India,
Okay.
but my cinematographer, who's also my editor and co-producer, Matthew, he had shifted to Abu Dhabi for a couple of years during that time. So
All
he said,
right.
I'm here anyway. So if you want to come here, I can organize the logistics here, and then we could try and shoot, and that's what we did. And it was like probably one of the best
Really?
experiences that we've
Wow.
had.
So
Yeah,
Shilpa, you
yeah.
said you have filmed in Singapore, you filmed in Abu Dhabi, and perhaps in India as well. Have you?
No, I haven't filmed in India. I mean, Dots was my first film with actors from India. So
Okay.
Dots had 10 actors from
Mm-hmm.
6 film industries. So, I had Shishir Sharma from Bollywood, and then I had a couple of people from Marathi, Tamil, Kannada, 2 from
Yeah.
Malayalam, and then I had 3 actors from Singapore.
Nice.
So, but they were all inside their houses. They were all, we
Yeah.
just shot remotely. So
A
that is
different
only my
experience.
that's
Yes.
yeah sort of experience working with Indian
Yeah.
actors,
Yeah.
and working in India, but I've
Sure.
not
No,
really
so
shot in India.
so what
Yeah.
I was trying to kind of find out from you was that you worked in Abu Dhabi, and then worked in Singapore also. How different was the working experience between the two countries?
I think it's different. I think you can't really compare it because Singapore for me is home, right? So obviously
Right.
I'm very comfortable here, and usually I work with. I know how things work here.
Sure.
Abu Dhabi, I had gone for a location recce prior,
Okay.
so I knew this is where I wanted to shoot and everything, but absolutely nothing went according to plan.
Was that
Everything
right?
was like, yeah, like, okay, you decide you want to shoot here on this day, and then there is a sandstorm. You decide that, so here is rain, there is sandstorm.
Right.
You decide that you want to shoot in this particular location. We went there for a rehearsal, and they're saying, oh, if you want to shoot here, you have to do within the next 2 hours, because for the next 10 days the whole place is going to be taken up for a royal family event.
Wow.
And then we are like, oh, we just came here to rehearse, so we had to rush back, change, come back, the actors had to change. And then we shot it in like 1.5 hours, an entire scene. So it was very different in that sense. But
Must have been
what's great about
challenging.
Abu Dhabi,
Yeah.
yeah, it's very challenging. But what's great about Abu Dhabi are the landscapes. You have everything from the deserts and the oasis and the
Hmm.
city, and yeah, it's quite incredible. All the palm trees, and yeah, so the beach. So
All
the
right.
visuals are very interesting.
So this movie that you shot in Abu Dhabi was what language was it in?
Yeah, Malayalam.
So then, how do you reach across to audience, that doesn't speak the language?
So I mean, I don't really make films with a particular intent of, reaching out to X number of people or anything. That's what never bothered me. So those two actors, they are my close friends, so we were just doing it for the fun of it. I was
Okay.
between jobs. I'd left my previous job and I was on a sabbatical, and it just felt like the right time to experiment with this. And that was the only intent. But once the film was done, it actually ended up going to some 35, 37 film festivals
Right.
around the world, and
Wow.
it's got, yeah, it got like 18 awards, I think, the last count. And
Wow.
it is from various parts of the world, right? Everybody can relate to the film, even though they don't speak the language. I've taken the film to myself personally. I've been to Brussels. I've been to the US.
Okay.
I've been to Dhaka. These are
Okay.
places where the people don't speak the language, but they really react very positively to the film. So I think
Beautiful.
it's as a medium, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear this. Yes, the language of theatre is understood no matter. Yes, beautiful. So,
Correct.
Shilpa, was it like a piece of cake, to achieve what you have, the success that you've achieved so far?
Um, Piece of cake to achieve the success. So for me, so if some people look for commercial success, a lot of people ask me when I talk about films, oh, why have you not distributed it, this and that, what is the commercial viability? But for me, that is not my priority. That's not why I make films. I make films to have fun. So with that regard, I've been extremely successful because, oh my God, I've had so much fun, right? I've made great teams and I've gotten a lot of great feedback on the films. But
Mhm.
has it really gone like, theatrical distribution or OTT or Filmfare or Oscars or whatever? Of course not. So for me, I think the films have always given me more than what I thought they would. So when I first made Mawsoms, it was just a home experiment. My husband acted in it, my colleagues acted in
Oh,
it, my friends acted in it. Yeah. And then I screened it at screening room at the old Parliament House, and one of my seniors from NUS came, and then he was like, "Why don't you send it for festivals?" And I'm like, "But
wow.
festivals will usually take arty-farty films, like not really this sort of films." He said, "But you can try. Why not try?" So I just randomly applied it to festivals, and it did get into festivals. So my husband and I, we flew down to Las Vegas and to Dhaka for the festival, and we
Wow.
won awards. So it was definitely more than what I thought the film would give. And same thing, right? Like last year for Katha at 8. I didn't imagine we will win the jury award. In fact, I was not even in town. I had
Okay.
gone back to India. So I was here for the screening. And then
Mhm.
I was not expecting any award. So I went back to India. I went back for Onam celebrations in Kerala. And then we actually won the award. My husband picked up on my behalf because, we never really thought about that. So that always has been, I would say more than what I had hoped to get from my films.
So Shilpa, what would you say led you to this kind of a success? Was it your belief in yourself? Was it more of perseverance, or having a clear concept in your mind? I mean, as a message, what would you leave behind for my viewers?
I think for me, personally, I would say um, not making a film because I have A, B, C, D objectives. I don't make film for that. But for me, making a film is really about having fun and enjoying the process. And I give a lot of, I put in a lot of effort to make sure the output is something that me and my team are proud of. To me, it doesn't
Wonderful.
matter what the audience say, how many viewers it gets. That's not the point of it. But I do want the team to feel very happy about what they have created. And I think so far I've been successful with that. So that to me is the real success. And if you work towards that, then everything else will come. That's my belief.
Excellent. So there is nothing that is like a piece of cake. Whatever one does, there is a lot of effort and a lot of time, dedication, and all required, isn't it?
Absolutely, and especially for filmmaking, right? It's not easy at all. Like I take dots. Dots was virtually shot, remotely shot. I did 5 rehearsals per team, and there were 5 teams. So I did 25 rehearsals, and my cinematographer did another 5 rehearsals with each team, like tech runs, right? And then,
Hmm.
of course, we had the Zoom-based shoots. And editing took several hours, music took several hours, sound took, because every single thing, I'm not sitting with them, so they have to work there, upload it, I need to download it, I need to watch, and then I need to find the nitty-gritties, I need to comment. So it was painful, it was really, really painful a process. But when you reach at the other end of it, it's like the most beautiful process. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And Shilpa, if I'm not wrong, you have had very little artists also who have performed in your films. Am I right? Very, very young
Yes.
children who have performed. Is that right?
Yes, yes. So I have a couple of, they were in Qatar, they were basically doing supporting roles. But yes, I've had young
So
kids.
was it
Yes.
difficult to train, because you have been working with the older, people, or
Yeah.
so
So
was
with
it difficult?
children, yeah, with children, what I did was, I didn't give them exact lines. I didn't say these lines, because
Okay.
the more they say exactly that, the more unnatural they tend to
Legit,
become.
yes.
So I just got them to rehearse the scenario. So I'll say, okay, you're coming back from school. This time you're going to talk about your basketball game. You are going to talk about your chocolate cake. Next round is something else. You're going to talk about your dance. You're going to talk about
Okay.
your swimming, whatever. So, and they would just make it up on their own, and that
Wow.
felt a lot more real and suited the story versus me saying, say exactly this, say exactly this. So I think you need
Beautiful.
to find what works for children.
Right, and Shilpa, I have spoken to the two girls who have acted in your film, and from what they said was that they had a fantastic time filming for this you know for the film that you made, the last, and that
Right.
speaks great, because when children appreciate, they appreciate from their hearts, and that
That's
speaks
true.
volumes about you. Isn't that great? Wonderful.
Thank you. No, I think
Yes.
for me, what was the sweetest moment was,
Yes.
so we used to have rehearsals and they used to really have fun. And when the rehearsal, the last day of the rehearsal, they came and hugged me and they're like, "Oh, we wish this would never end.
Oh,
We don't
how
want the
lovely.
rehearsals to."
Oh,
Yeah. So I
that's
thought that was
beautiful.
really, really sweet. Yes.
Yes, and I think that's one of the best returns that one can get, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, thank you so much, Shilpa. Success is never a piece of cake and requires a lot of hard work and dedication. And I'm saying nothing new here. So, let me put it this way: to be successful, you must find your why, stick to your why, and find a blueprint around your why. And keep the word grit in your mind. Refuse to give up, pushing to the limits, wiping the sweat off to make a better tomorrow. Thank you very much, Shilpa, for joining us and sharing
Thank
your journey and thoughts with us. We look
you,
forward to
Hemali.
many more films from your side, and may you win many more accolades. Shilpa's films can be found on the link that I'll be sharing in the description. So give it a watch, and I'm sure you all are going to enjoy it just as much as I did. Thank you very much,
Thank
Shilpa.
you. Thank you so much, Hemali.
Goodbye, everyone, and see you all next Monday. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share these videos. Thank you.